submarines, and everything on hydrogen and water separation. That is a technology that was developed at TRW in the largest think tank that's ever been conceived in the world. That all was connected with William Tompkins, basically, right? So they have done that already. Yeah, and actually,
So,
Carmen, who's in our group, Carmen's father has technology that can produce enough hydrogen to run a car easily. Yeah. So
and
yeah.
so I'll tell you the surprise, and that's what the 10 years of research and I compiled it into the book. And the last two chapters of the book are the important ones because that's when all the dots connected together.
Hmm.
It's not hydrogen. That's the lion's share of the energy moving the piston.
Okay.
That's the big. It's not hydrogen at all. Hydrogen happens to be made or something else coming off the electrolyzers, and I didn't really learn what it was until 2015.
Okay.
And basically, it is nano bubbles that are very, very strong. And when they get into the plasma of the internal combustion engine combustion event, plasma surrounds them, and these bubbles they squeeze in to make the torus vortex ring.
Yeah.
And that is an EVO essentially,
Yeah.
and there's millions of them in the combustion event,
Yeah.
and they take off like self-accelerate in every which way direction, and they move the piston by the propulsion event that Ken Shoulders discovered.
So
And
it's
that was the
EVOs.
thing. It's the EVOs that are
Yeah.
made in the plasma event. And it finally cemented in when I found the reference that says every single electrolysis event, the way it works is the bubble starts to form as a nano bubble of hydrogen, gradually expands to a micro bubble size,
Yeah.
bursts open to free up the hydrogen. And all the electrolyzers that were magically producing excess energy, they found the means to scrape off those nanobubbles at the nanoscale size. And
Yeah.
what Ryushin Amasa discovered, and I learned about his work, it was the next to last chapter in the book where I write thunderclouds into 0 point energy. When you have that charged up, and the reason the nanobubbles are strong uh, uh, is because they cocooned in that charge. And there was a big controversy in science that nanobubbles, our Western science says they can't exist because they said it's
Course.
impossible because they were using a weak hydrogen bonding model for the membrane of the bubble, which is like the surface tension on water,
Yeah.
right? They're very weak. He says that cannot hold together under severe curvature. When you were down in the submicron scale, that thing just the hydrogen bonds could not sustain that curvature. Therefore, they can't exist. It
Yeah.
took the Japanese research in nanobubbles. They were studying nanobubbles of oxygen to prove that they even exist. And what the Japanese did in 2006, they used a laser backscatter under a microscope where they could track individual bubbles. And thus, 2010, the scientific community reluctantly accepted the existence of nanobubbles in the Western science. That's how late it was. And in a way, I didn't know any of this until 2015.
Yeah.
So I was late to the party, right? And that's when all the dots connected. And so the next to last chapter in uh, Water, the Key to New Energy, is about how the nanobubbles, and they connected all the dots across everybody's electrolyzer project. They found a way, turbulence, blowing air, all sorts of ways, vibration. Get those bubbles off the plate early because they cocoon in that charge. And then the Japanese from Tokyo University, the professor there, that's who Ryushin Amasa, the inventor, went to understand what did I make. Omasa gas is what he called it. He thought he was a unique one. And,
Yeah.
and sure enough, they had the explanation on nano-bubble technology. When you cocoon a net charge inside the bubble, right, water being a polar molecule will naturally orient towards the net charge on the inside. And so the membrane locks in. It's right there in the Japanese patents. The membranes lock in very, very strong as it gets attracted symmetrically to the interior proton in this case, if it's coming off an electrolyzer on the hydrogen side.
Yeah.
And so and now and then it's well known now. It's actually standard science to say this is the way it happens on all electrolyzers. The bubble will gradually grow, burst open, and now you have your hydrogen.
Yeah.
And so what the people were doing in all their experiments historically to get the net result, they found a way to get those bubbles scraped off early, get them off the plate early. And
Yeah.
now you had a very, very strong substrate to be the form or the template, right, that can convert over to the EVO.
Yeah.
Right, need a symmetrical charge. Ken Shoulders used a symmetrical charge of liquid metal, right?
Yeah.
So this was your symmetrical form, and then once it's in a plasma environment, they convert over to EVOs. And I said, there's one dot that I want. I told them to this, or I can't believe his name slipped my mind. To who does the SEM studies on the plasmoid strikes. Just who?
Galileo microscope.
Like
Well, yeah,
Bob Green?
yeah,
No.
Bob Greenyer.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm terrible. I'm getting anyway. But Bob Greenyer said, "Here's the challenge." Said it's well known when you spray some water mist in an internal combustion engine, you end up having more power exhibit.
Right. Yeah.
Right,
That's
and that's well known. And the downside of it is that when you eventually examine the piston and the cylinder, they're all cratered up, right? And then you're damaging the piston. I says, well, that's not necessarily bad news. Those craters are from EV strikes, EVO strikes.
That's right.
Right. And so
Yeah.
Bob Greenyer sacrificed the generator, really cratered it up, and then analyzed the metal
Oh.